Clock. I want to call this October 23rd, 2023 meeting of the Select Board to order, and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda is if we have a need for an executive session. You need?
I don't.
George?
I do not.
Paul?
No.
Okay, that being the case, we will move right on to public service announcements.
Okay, so first up, the Massachusetts Department of Health is conducting a survey to improve their programs and make decisions about funding and resources. And so you can participate in the survey by going to mass.gov/health survey or scanning the QR code in the brochure. Next up, the Board of Health will be kicking off a depression and anxiety support group on October 24th. They'll be meeting every fourth Tuesday of the month from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Chelmsford Center for the Arts. If you have interest in this group, you can scan the QR code for more information or email mcameron, MCAMERON, at chelmsfordma.gov or call 978-250-5241. And the Chelmsford Health Department will be providing food code inspection classes for Chelmsford food establishments. Those will be immediately followed by Narcan training that's designed for the retail setting. There are 2 sessions available, Tuesday, November 7th at 4:30 p.m., and Thursday, November 9th at 9:30 a.m. Registration is required, so you can call the health department at 978-250-5241 or email Amy at McInerney, MCINERNEY, at chelmsfordma.gov. And also from the health department, they are offering walk-in flu clinics every Monday from 9 to 4 or every Tuesday evening from 4 to 6 p.m. with the exception of October 24th. The flu clinics are at the health department at 50 Billerica Road, and they are offered to anyone who is 19 years or older. Please call ahead to confirm availability, and there is also a high dose available for those who are 65 years or older. The Chelmsford Health Department number is 978-250-5241. And on Saturday, November 4th, 2023, from 9 to 1 p.m., there will be an annual Zero Waste Day at the McCarthy Middle School parking lot at 250 North Road. This is happening rain or shine. And that's an opportunity where you can keep any usable goods out of the waste stream. There is a detailed list of goods that will be accepted or recycled at this event. So you can take a look at the brochure for that. If you have any questions, you can call Chris Haley, the town's Sustainability Manager, at 978-250-5203 or email him at chaley, Haley, at chelmsfordma.gov. Next up, we have a reminder on the Chelmsford Choice Electricity Supply Program. The new contract begins in November, so you will be seeing a rate increase in November. However, the Chelmsford Choice prices will still be lower than the National Grid residential basic service. If you want to stay in the program that you're in Chelmsford Choice, you do not need to take any action. The Chelmsford Choice price options are the default, if you haven't selected anything, is the basic at 14.843 cents per kilowatt hour, and then there are greener and greenest options at increased rates. The greener electricity supply contains 40% additional renewable energy, and the greenest supply is 100% renewable energy. There's more information at masspowerchoice.com/Chelmsford/opt-up. I think that's it.
One more.
Just a Halloween trick-or-treating.
Oh,
There's no
sorry.
flyer, it's just an announcement.
And there is no flyer, but just a general announcement that trick-or-treating will occur in Chelmsford on October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. And the town and the DPW offices will be closed at 4 p.m. that day. So be safe and have fun.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is public input. Is there anybody here that would like to address the board about any topic?
Any other topics for tonight? I would.
Yes.
I live at 255.
You have to go to the
Oh, I have
podium.
get up there.
She might be here for the telephone.
People can't hear you and otherwise without the microphone.
Hi, I'm Marie M. Burnham, and I'm here. I live at 255 Groton Road, right across the street from 264 and 258 Groton Road.
Excuse me, Marie, is this about the poll petition? Okay, we'll be talking about that in a little while, then you can speak.
Oh, that's
up
why I
then.
asked anything, and you said yes, so,
Okay, well, that's anything.
okay. There is one question I have.
Sure.
I have a disk drive here that has the pictures that I have in here to give you guys. Okay, because I noticed that there were no pictures. Do you take these and do they read Apple pictures?
That I couldn't tell you, but we do have one picture. But if you want to wait until the hearing starts and we can
But do you take
figure
do you take disk drives with the, or what do you call, whatever
Thumb
these
drive.
drives are that
Thumb drive.
my friend put the pictures on?
with public input, sure, we can do that, yeah.
Okay, who should I give it to?
When you're done, you can give it to the town
So
manager.
when I get up, I
Yep.
give it to
Yes.
first gentleman?
Second.
Paul Cohen.
Yeah, you're fine.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that has anything they want to talk to us about tonight that's not subject to a public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to committee vacancies.
Okay, the committee vacancies that are currently available are the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has 1 3-year term available. The Board of Assessors has 1 3-year term. The Commission on Disabilities has an unexpired 3-year term and 2 3-year terms open. The Community Action Program Committee has 1 unexpired 3-year term. The Council on Aging Board has 1 unexpired 3-year term and 1 3-year term available. The Cultural Council has 2 3-year terms open. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee has 1 3-year term. The Holiday Decorating Committee has 1 unexpired 1-year term open. The Parade Committee welcomes all applicants for 1-year terms. The Roberts Field Advisory Committee has 2 unexpired 3-year terms, and the Tree Committee has 1 unexpired 3-year term. If you're interested in serving on a town board or committee, please complete an online application, or you can contact the town manager's office at 978-250-5202 or tmoffice@chelmsfordma.gov.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is the public hearings, and the first public hearing is a continued public hearing on the National Grid poll petition for Groton Road. Is there anyone here from National Grid?
Marie's raising her hand again. You might just want to let her know. Marie.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to represent National Grid for the poll petition. We are requesting to...
Name for the record, just.
Oh, sorry. My name is Alec Noah Birdsong. I am here for National Grid, representing National Grid for the poll petition. We are requesting to move pole 84 18 feet east to the property line for the new driveway that's going in.
And that's the photo, that's picture there is showing where the new pole is being installed.
Exactly.
Just to orient people in the room or those watching.
It's the stake
It's the
between
stake,
the
yep,
mailbox and the fire hydrant?
Exactly.
So it is between the two driveways. This is the one that we talked about last
Yes.
meeting. right?
Yes.
It is between the
Yes,
two
it
driveways.
is between the two
yeah.
driveways.
Okay, this being a public hearing, we do have somebody here that wants to speak during this public hearing. So Marie, if you want to get up and,
Yes, here on this, my friend took 66 pictures. In a folder, there's 14
please,
pictures.
please go to the microphone and, so everybody can hear you and just,
If I sit down.
you can, yeah, sit down while she speaks.
Hi, yes, I'm Marie M. Burnham. I live at 255 Groton Road, right across the street. I butt across the street at 258, I believe it is, and then 264, which is being divided into two other spots. Okay, now, when they came last time, they once again only had one picture. I want to give a full comprehension of this. I know that they want to move the pole east. I don't know why they want to move it east. Why can't they put it between the two houses they're putting in? Here's the corner of my driveway on Doris Drive. I have a U-shaped driveway. Okay? And Doris Drive is right there. Here's a picture my friend took coming from Westford, coming up, showing the poles on both sides of the road, all nice and evenly spaced. Okay? Oh, I have a packet that you can look at the pictures at.
Yeah, I need to know what, there's a bunch of pictures, as you noted. Which one do you want me to display? 'Cause
Oh, they're in the packet that says meeting.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I can't see them on my computer. My husband
Um,
can see it on his computer.
Marie, if you could go to the microphone and just kind of give us a sense for what your issue is, and we can kind of, I think
Okay.
we know the area pretty well. Most of us have been by there. so-
I don't know if you guys really know the area pretty well. So much stuff has gone on in there, so I don't really know how well you know the area. I know I've been there 30 years as of November 12th of this year. Okay? Here's the intersection of Doris Drive and Groton Road. You're familiar with that? That is a high accident intersection. It's a high-rate intersection. It has 3 or more accidents every year, for every year I've lived there. And as I said, November 12th will be 300 years, feels like 300, be 30 years since we first moved in. We closed the paper, moved our furniture in 12th, 13th, and 14th. My parents and my kids stayed there that night. Now, it's a high accident rate area, and you want a gist of what's going on. You want to move the pole east. Why can't it go between the two houses or west? We have a very high accident rate there. Okay, I'm trying to go through this to get you a picture
Marie,
here.
could you pull the microphone down closer
Here's
to
a
your...
picture of
Marie,
where the
Marie.
cones.
could you pull the microphone down closer to your mouth so folks can... Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Here's a picture of the house. You can see the cones, where they are. There's a curve that comes out of Westford, which my friend was taking when she was driving there to show the road. From that curve to Doris Drive, we have a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic. Okay? And it doesn't help the fact that Doris Drive intersection is a high accident site. I can't remember what my husband used to call it. He was a civil engineer, transportation safety. He worked for NIMCOG as well as other companies. Now, you were talking about moving it nearer to the sign at the last meeting, and someone said, isn't there a sign there? Yes, there's a sign, and there's 2 poles. Okay? I have the one right here at the edge of my driveway, and the one right across the street that feeds my house electricity. Okay? Now, I know that you want to put it closer to the mailbox, but I don't know why it has to come closer. Can't it go further towards Westford? On top of that being a high accident site, okay, and here's a better picture of that area. What we saw last time that looked like a sidewalk is really somebody's driveway. And here's a construction zone with a pole that they want to move. Can't they put it on the property line between the two buildings going up instead of bringing it this way? Everything seems to be coming towards Doris Drive, whether you're coming from Route 3 or Westford. Here's more showing it. But what I wanted to get at is, this is a high accident rate in site. And about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, we had a truck, I don't know if he came off Route 3 and just wanted to turn around on Doris Drive where we have a little industrial park. The Lozells own that little industrial park. If you're familiar with my area, you know it. Am I correct? And trucks will come off, they'll go, they'll turn around there. Some will stop, use that drainage area as a bathroom, then leave and go back. Well, somebody came in with a truck that was so high that after he got in and turned around and tried coming out, he ripped out all the wires, ripped them all out. National Grid and everybody were real great at putting up the poles and everything else. This is looking towards Westford. The only thing that didn't happen is Chelmsford did not put the lights back in. So instead of having a safe road at a high accident site, I now have an even unsafer road. And you want to put more poles closer to the road. Now, at nighttime, this is what I see when I look out my driveway. Absolutely nothing but my neighbor's light on. They don't shut theirs off. When I shut mine off, the light goes away. Here's a picture of Westford. The only light left on Groton Road between Route 3 and the Westford line is almost on the Westford line. It's just about on the Westford line. That's the only light left on Groton Road from Route 3 intersection with Groton Road. You can call it Route 40 if you want. But looking away from Westford and looking into Chelmsford, looking at Route 3, see that little dot right there? That's the street light on the other side of Route 3. This is how dark it is at night. We have people coming off Route 3 that forget that they're no longer on a highway. They don't want to know that it's 30 miles an hour, and there's no light to show them the speed limit thing is saying 35 miles an hour till their lights pass it while they're going 60, and they passed it too fast to read it.
Okay, so Marie, the purpose of this public hearing is to talk about strictly that pole. As far as the lights.
Right, the pole.
I know.
There's no light
I know,
where
and
I am.
I understand
So
that.
that pole becomes much more dangerous. Again, here I am. And at night, my next door neighbor across the street, which is a 258, and then you have 1, 2, 3, you have 1, 2, I'm seeing 3 poles, but I think one of them's a tree. No? One of them's a sign. You have 2 poles and that are telephone poles, and you have a Route 3 entrance ramp sign. And when the lights are off on the houses, there are no lights showing where these things are until your headlights hit them.
Okay, I mean, that's a different concern as far as this public hearing is concerned. I mean,
Well, if you're
and-
putting another one on it, you're only tripling instead of doubling the rate of accidents
Okay,
that are possible.
So,
So it's not different from this meeting. This meeting's trying to make my street more unsafe, more uncomfortable, and less residential than it already has become over the last 20 years. Since Route 40, AKA Groton Road, was widened in the 90s.
okay, so we will, address your concerns as far as possibly moving the pole a different location and ask Alec if he can explain exactly why this has to be done and why it has to be done in that way.
And I have these from my own records.
Okay.
I brought a package with copies for you to look through. And you have the disc with not only these 14, but another 42. 14.
Okay.
Another 42 of my friend driving up and down Groton Road showing it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I think the question that needs to be addressed is why can't it move west? Is that correct, the pole, instead of moving east?
We asked that last time as well.
You did, and the answer still remains the same. It's the distance between the poles. We're trying to keep usually around 120 feet. So moving it east only 18 feet is better than moving it to the other side of the driveway that's going in.
So can I ask a question? Because where it is right now, I'm having trouble seeing how 18 feet is.
Not 18 feet.
It's not 18 feet.
less
because
than
you're
18
actually
feet.
keeping on the property.
So
line right
it's
now,
like
so.
15, 18 feet, so there's
Is
like
it?
a, yeah, it
looks
is.
like there's only 5 feet from the
I
existing
know.
pole to the mailbox.
I know,
so
that's
don't
what
know
it
if that's
kind of
just the way it
seems like
looks.
when you're looking at it on this,
Uh-huh.
which was some of the confusion last time.
Yeah.
But the designer went back out and he remeasured it. I'm sure you're aware of this project that's going in with the two houses, and it looks like they're adding in something that says like Watertown Avenue there. So there's going to be like a driveway there or something like that for those two homes. And so we're just getting it out of their driveway because right now it's going to be basically not quite in the middle of their driveway, but close to it.
Could you call up the picture that is in the packet, Paul? Let me ask a
So that's a
question.
different work request, though. Do you all have the?
Like this picture?
Yeah, so my when I saw this,
Mhm.
my concern before understanding the other safety issues that were brought up during public input is when you consider the diameter of that pole going in where that little stake is between the mailbox and the fire hydrant, it's very close now to both the new street that's going up into the duplexes and very close to that driveway. So are we creating a blind spot now, right at the egress to the road?
I don't think
Because
so, but I didn't.
you had to move it there because their driveway is coming like around the fire hydrant to right in front of it. Is that correct?
I have to. Let me just make sure on their plans. So the fire hydrant is just outside of the curve of their driveway, is what they're showing on their plans.
Right.
So,
So your pole is like right at the very end of both driveways, essentially.
we could move it a little bit further inset, like down the property line a little bit. I don't know where the property line starts and where the public right-of-way starts exactly. But normally we keep the poles in line, but we can still kind of offset them a little bit if there's an issue with a blind spot.
Paul, who's the right people to assess the safety aspect of that?
I mean, we could do that with the, with our town engineer and the police, police department. As you know, the roadway is rather straight at that area of roadway if you go out. And then I think if you have the existing pole line that follows in the area. So I think what he's saying is like this pole behind the sign that we keep hearing about, it's probably another foot or two off the road than if you go to the next, the next pole where this is the
Closer
existing
to the
pole.
road.
It's just a little closer right here.
But we can probably move it back some to alleviate the blind spot.
And you can see that's the next pole down, the next driveway. And then
And did you verify you have no room to go west with the pole?
Yes, the designer did when he first went out. But we can always triple check and if that's what you would like,
does the rest of the board think?
Does it become a safety issue when you exceed a certain distance between the poles?
Yeah, because the wires are really heavy. They're not at all very light. So what you'll get is you'll get leaning poles, or we'll be putting in guy wires. And then that's also another, a construction issue sometimes with people on their property.
May have another double pole.
Right, yeah. Erin, any other comments, questions?
No, not really. I would like this to be accurate, though, if this 18 feet isn't.
It's usually
think
plus or
we should
minus a
prove
few
it
feet.
unless
It's
it's-
never, because when we go out to install the pole, the crews could hit ledge, they could hit a lot of stuff under the dirt, and that causes them to have to kind of like move the pole slightly. So I don't know why they didn't update the entire thing with 15 feet, but I think maybe they felt it wasn't necessary because it's within that range.
So is there more information that we want from National Grid before we make a decision on this? Virginia, I think you're probably the most,
What,
The-
do you
the closest
mind
to-
if we do this? What we could also do is, if for some reason, we can triple check the distance. And if it's possible, if, say, the neighbor in, what was the address, the next door neighbor is having issues entering and exiting their driveway, we can just, if it's possible, just move the pole at that time. And I can just note that without a cost to them or without a cost to the city or anything like that, It would just be something we would do to kind of alleviate this issue if it arises.
Or we could we do it contingent on the engineer just verifying?
What are we going to verify? That's what I don't know what
I
it
just
is.
don't, I don't know, so if my comment isn't valid, then say so, but is there a way to verify that we're not creating a blind spot for those two driveways by putting the pole right there, or whether it needs to move back off the road more?
Are you talking about a blind spot for the neighbor or the blind spot for
I'm talking about both.
both, for the people coming down the
Yeah,
road?
they're both exit, the egress to Groton Road for both of them is
Yeah.
right there. The pole's basically at the edge of both their driveways, essentially, the way you look at it.
I don't know of any way that I can verify whether or
Okay.
not that's a blind spot until we actually
It's a blind spot.
go through the process.
You guys put one in right in back of my mailbox, right at the edge of my driveway, which makes it almost impossible to get in and out of my driveway there.
Okay,
So, yeah, it does cause a blind spot, especially with traffic coming 50, 60 miles an hour down a 35-mile-an-hour road.
okay. Like I said, there's no way that I can confirm that without actually, I can check to see if we can confirm it for
Is that anything we
you.
ever do, Paul? Or,
No, as they said, when you issue a pole permit, they do have liberty within a few feet of that specific location, which is what he's
Okay.
describing. That's allowed for in the field, so that is allowed. And I think
And-
what
so what he's
the
saying?
concern is
they
that if you
would-
grant the permit, then when they're out in the field, you can sort of see where it is. And what we could do if they would notify us when we're out, we could have an engineer from DPW out there on site to examine whether that would present that traffic, safety concern for the driveway or for the neighbor. I mean,
And-
if
and-
they
and all-
would notify us when they're doing the install.
and we could also make contingent on is further away from the road as
Right,
possible.
moving it past.
I mean, as long as it's in the right of way.
Exactly,
right
right.
away,
That's what I
yeah.
mean by, as far as possible. Obviously, you can't go on private property, right?
Right.
Is there any concern about the fire hydrant that's there? Proximity to that hydrant? Is that an issue?
They're aware of the water coming in to the fire hydrant from the street. It's on the plans.
And that's what leads you to, look, the hydrant's set pretty
Accessibility.
far back, too, from the road,
Right.
so I think you'd probably be okay.
I mean, from like an accessibility
Yeah.
standpoint? does
No,
the
as
fire
long as
for
department-
the fire hydrant.
You can see how the hydrant is turned, too. So, I think they'd be okay, even if that pole went further back, you can see the way the hydrant is turned.
They-
You're almost behind the hydrant, do you know what I mean? As you're getting closer to it, the hydrant access are, to the right.
Yeah.
They'd basically be accessing the hydrant from the 264 Groton
Exactly.
roadway.
Exactly, yeah.
So are you okay with those two
Yeah.
contingencies that National Grid will invite the DPW engineer on site at installation? And you'll try to keep it as far back off the main road as possible?
I'm okay with those two contingencies. I'll contact the overhead supervisor who's handling the job and let him know to contact the DPW. I don't know the direct number to the DPW, but I emailed you all.
The director's in the room, you can.
Paul,
Oh, hi. So I can maybe speak to you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
we can get you the contact information, or you
Right.
can get it right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
Okay.
want me?
And I just want to ask if there's anyone else from the public that had any concerns about this poll that would like to speak, or is there anyone on Zoom, Paul, that's not coughing?
You have to come up to-
I would like to speak, if you don't mind.
Okay,
Alec, I don't know if you recognize me. I'm Joy Banks. I used to sit up in Les Woods with you in the third-party group.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking,
okay, just name it.
National Grid, she's from National Grid.
Oh,
Okay.
okay,
Joy Banks.
okay.
Be seeing her later
Yeah.
on the discussion of the polls.
There may be an alternate solution to this. I think maybe tomorrow after the call, tomorrow's not a good day because we're out of the office. Maybe on Wednesday, after you speak with the designer, maybe we could chat
Okay.
about some alternatives.
Okay. Joy Banks? Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Okay.
Yep.
So, given that new information, should we,
Do you want us to continue this, Joy, or
should we?
Well, I think we'll still follow the natural course. Alex going to go back to the design engineer and the designer and speak with him about the concerns. But there may be some things that he hadn't thought of that we might be able to discuss.
May I ask one more question?
Sure.
What happens to the old pole and when?
Well, there's communication on the pole, so Verizon will be removing that pole. It's not something that we do, so I'm not really knowledgeable on that process because it's not something that the design group takes care of. But it would be removed and probably disposed of, per regulations, because I think the poles are treated, correct? And so,
I'm just
I think she was
asking
getting
about
at is
timing
once you
because
set
there's
the
a big
pole-
sensitivity right now in Chelmsford to having the old poles lingering and having, this is kind of a double pole situation
Yes, I imagine it'll
again.
go through the same
So,
process.
And I understand that the development construction is also being held up if you don't move that old pole. So my question is, what happens to the old pole and when?
that's
So we
part
don't
of,
wind up with another double pole 18 feet apart
okay.
forever.
Okay, so Verizon is responsible for removing the poles. What happens is that everyone removes what they need to remove from the pole,
I know.
and it goes through a system that I guess all of the utilities are a part of. And when it gets to Verizon, they're notified that they need to remove their wires, put them on the new pole, and then remove the old pole.
So you don't know what happens when? You know what happens, but you don't know when?
Exactly, because that's really Verizon's schedule,
But we know, right?
I think it was mentioned in the last meeting that they have 30 days once they're notified to do their job. Is that correct?
once everyone else is off the pole, right?
Verizon has 30 days?
They're the last one. They're the last ones off, yeah. So basically, National Grid will do their work first, and then it'll go down the pole, I don't believe the town has anything out there that far in Groton Road, so we're not on there, but they may have Comcast is out there, and others, and then the last one will be Verizon, then Verizon will remove the pole within 30 days. And they'll need it because the contractor is going to be pushing to get the pole out of there because they're going to want to put that driveway in.
Right, yeah, there'll be some pressure from them, too,
Yes,
yeah.
so there'll be pressure. It's not going to be ignored because they're going to want to
And
get
Paul-
into the site.
Paul, without getting into discussion tonight, can you take an action to look at the lighting issues on that
Sure.
road with the
Right,
traffic
yeah.
committee? Thank you. Any
Marie,
more
you have
public?
another question, or?
I have a statement, if that's okay.
Okay, if you just want to get up to the microphone, please.
Hi. As you can see, here is my stone wall and my telephone pole that since the day we moved in has been a blind spot. If he's going to put it on the property line, this isn't even on the property line. It's inside the parameters of my property. It's not on the property line. If he's going to put it on the property line and put it back 10 feet, or put it back 8 feet, where it's going to be harder for cars to hit, especially given how dark it is there, since that super tall truck took down the lights on took down 2 poles. The companies all involved, Verizon and everybody, were great at getting the poles up and the wires up, but the town never got the lighting in. I called about 7 weeks ago, never got anybody back to me, and I was going to have the electrician call me. They were going to have the electrician call me. Never got anybody back. So if you check the lighting, come at nighttime.
We will check the lighting and make,
Okay,
that's a
because
different
there is
topic,
none.
but- Okay,
There is none. For 28 years, I could shovel my driveway all the way down to the street, and I would be safe. Now I have to go out there and hope that I'm going to be safe. The last winter, and now this coming winter, is going to be another one. As I said, they got all the telephone lines, they got all the computer lines, they got all the electricity and stuff, although when you move that back, if you can move it back 8, 10 feet, that will stop the sight distance problem from one family taking a left and the other family taking a right.
okay, so Marie, we will make sure that that's taken
Okay.
care of, and our DPW
But
director will be out there too.
Also, the other thing is 125 feet. That might be true for most places, but not from the Westwood line to Doris Drive, it's not.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You've got a convention of poles there,
Okay,
Any other public?
but I would have no problems if they,
Move it back 8 or 10
all
feet.
the
Okay.
property lines moved it back.
okay,
Okay.
we're gonna continue with our business here this evening.
The contingencies, I meant to note them down right after you said them, but I didn't get to it because of the questions. The first one is for the DPW to be there, and what was the second one?
That you'll move it back off the
Okay.
street as far
Okay,
as
I got them
possible.
then. Okay.
Any
Okay.
other public comment?
Okay, anybody else from the public? Okay, well, we're ready for a motion.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing for the National Grid
I'll sec-
petition.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. 4-0.
I will make a motion to approve the National Grid poll petition for 258 to 264 Groton Road, contingent on National Grid notifying the DPW so that they can be present on site at install, and contingent on moving the pole location as far as possible away from Groton Road.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next public hearing is for Navigation Brewing Company. Do we have anybody here from Navigation?
Hello, my name is Paul Mercier. I'm here to represent Navigation Brewing Company. I have receipts for the
You
certified
could
mail.
give them to town manager? Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so if you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, what we're looking to do is we're looking to put the brewery, a new location, Navigation Brewing Company, a second location in Chelmsford at 15 Central Square, where we can brew beer and serve it to patrons. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions? Paul, at this time?
I noticed some things in the application that wasn't clear to me.
Okay.
Is
if
this
you
the
wanna-
time for that?
Sure.
I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
My first question was, there's a comment, Paul, that says application will require some corrections prior to license being issued, as stated in departmental review sheet. Did that have to do with the building commissioner comments, or?
It had to, I don't know if Christine Bruce spoke to you about this, Pat. The The application it has to do with the seating plan.
Yeah.
And and I know Christina discussed this with you as well. The seating, I'll pull up the seating plan. The seating plan shows the seating.
Well, actually, I think there's two things.
There's
with
two
that.
thing. One is the number of seats, and then the other one is.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now. I can explain that. The floor plan that we have submitted was the original conceptual plan that was being submitted to the federal government. In order to apply for a federal brewer's permit, you have to give them a plan of where the brewery's going to be and where the tap room's going to be. And to show the tap room, the architect could just put some chairs in there, kind of willy-nilly, within ADA compliance, but to show that you can seat 130 people in there. So in order not to change the plan, we have to submit that same plan to the state. And again, their concern is more so the brewery, not so much the tap room. And filling out this application, the state would have received for the farmer's brewing permit the same plan. Again, their concern is the brewing equipment, the size, and making sure that it's locked. So we were always discussing 130 seat capacity. The particular the seats and the chairs that are there are not the ones that we're going to be using. They're actually long tables with benches versus seating. But the idea is to still seat 130 people. It was just, again, essentially the ones in the middle, all those high tops, those would all be gone. And the tables we have are narrower than the ones shown up there. So we'd have more tables up against the walls, essentially.
So in the town application and in the state paperwork, it says 130 seated.
Correct.
With 166 occupancy or capacity.
Correct.
So, and so I'm.
That's
and
information.
what does Jose's comment mean that says an occupancy shall not increase? Does that mean above the 166?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, we weren't looking to change the occupancy at all. We were happy with all that. It was just that there was confusion with
So
the
you could
tables.
have 30 more people standing up inside, or staff or whatever, that gets you to the 166.
I'm not really sure how that works, but I'm assuming that's probably what it is. Or maybe people waiting. I'm not really.
And then while you're on the seating plans, what is this comment that says the application includes a description for patio, even though it's no longer being requested?
So, again, talking to Christina, she needed to show a plan that shows, so this particular plan had some seating out front, possible seating out front.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen because there's not enough room out there to put seating, and it's a nice brick walkway, and I wouldn't want to have to put up like barriers around anything, which I know would be required. That, and then the one on the top, there's actually a bike, top right, sorry, that X mark, yeah, there's actually a bike rack there.
Right.
And again, this was a conceptual plan just to kind of show what it could look like there. The idea is out back, you can kind of see where the L in the building is to put some additional seating back there. However, the plan wasn't showing it, so Christina was a little concerned that it would have to show some sort of seating back there. And that's something we were looking to get into down the road, because we don't know how many tables or Adirondack chairs or whatever, anything we can put back there. We just don't know it based off the square footage.
So if they wanted to do that, they would just come back with an amendment?
Or
later?
modified license, that's correct.
Yeah.
Because the concern with the outdoor seating is as he noted in his opening remarks, is you have to have security and secure access, so that alcohol is being served.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna be
that's why
roped off.
the concern that if the plan depicts tables outside and it's not being used, then that's where you'd get the issue of the conditional license and coming back.
So I'm still not clear on what the correction is.
The correction would be not to show any outdoor seating.
At this time, there's no outdoor seating. It's the winter time anyway, so it's not a big concern. In the spring, we'd probably come back with an amendment to add additional seating out back.
Okay.
I mean, I guess the correction also would be in the actual application. It does still indicate, seasonal outdoor seating. Is there a reason that you can't amend that for us, so it doesn't even note that?
could scratch it right out if you'd like.
Make a note.
Well, how about you?
I could do that too.
I don't think we're allowed to do
Yeah.
that.
No,
Well,
that's
if
fine.
the hearings continue for 2 weeks, he'd have time to submit a revised,
Right.
corrected plan that shows the lack of outdoor seating.
And again, we don't know what the square footage is over there. We haven't had anything to be able to determine that yet. Because we still have equipment going up against the side of the building. So that could change the amount of seats back there.
Back there is.
In the
outside.
area where the mouse is on right now.
The arrow,
Yeah.
okay.
There's actually an entrance there.
And as the
To get
board
in.
knows, in the past, sometimes when you've granted outdoor seating, it goes to the transfer of indoor seats to
Correct.
outdoor, so the total isn't exceeded.
Right.
And we've done that in the
Yes.
past as well. I mean,
Yep.
you're going back to Cafe Madrid, that was
Right.
sort of,
Although
back
I
then.
know in COVID, the state has been a little flexible as far as that, but I don't
Right.
know if that is still the
Right.
case.
I think they may have extended that for a year, but I'm not sure if it was all city and towns. I think it was dependent on the towns.
Okay, I mean, yeah, as accurate as we could get something, that would.
Yeah, we're not really, like I said, we're not concerned about the outdoor seating at this time.
Okay.
This would be something we would come back to the board. Our idea tonight is to get you guys to approve this so that we can get moving on the state application so that we could hopefully be open this time, this year. Any delays in that is going to probably push us into 2024.
and the idea is that if we have the correct plan, it would prevent it from being kicked back to us.
Right.
Because that.
I've already spoken to the
Exactly.
state. The state has, the state's concern is that back room where those barrels are.
Okay.
They have, and that that shows a tap room where patrons can sit. They don't care about the tables. They don't care about the outdoor seating if we're not going to have any. Again,
Okay.
that's a town issue versus a state issue.
Okay, Virginia, you have any more questions?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a clarification question. In the state paperwork, the Articles of Incorporation, Paul Mercier is listed at 33 Lakeview Terrace.
Oh, it's an old address.
In Drake, and in ours, it's 6 Pilgrim in
Yes,
Kingsborough.
it's an old address. We
Okay,
just,
so
that was
you're-
never
the 6
updated.
Pilgrim is
Correct.
correct? Okay, thank you. And then, can you go to page 9, Paul? It's the licensing board for the entertainment license.
It's the really old
While
looking.
he's looking for that, you open, your hours are at noon to midnight? Like,
So-
you don't open earlier for the early lunch crowd or anything?
No. Noon is fine.
This is exciting.
I wouldn't encourage drinking before noon, so.
Oh, there we are.
Okay.
So, I just a question for the board. Do we require that, like, the number of instruments or the number of persons be estimated, or we don't really care?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
How
Okay.
close to completion are you?
I guess we could ask the guy who's building it, he's here. Probably, I'm hoping probably within the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if we could open up December.
I was in it last Thursday with, Evan and Lisa Maroney and Bobby Moulton and, they're rough plumbing, everything is.
Yeah, the rough stuff is done, yeah.
And so basically, I think once they'll go from there, it should go real fast.
Yes,
as
it
he's
should, yeah.
describing.
And getting our equipment in and all that stuff, that we can get that stuff done in a day, so it's just hooking it all up.
Okay.
And thankfully, we have another brewery where we can supply.
How long have you operated, that's on Western Avenue?
Yeah, we've been at Weston Ave for 7.5 years. We were on Meadowcroft Street for 1.5 years before that, so we're 9, and the business itself is 9 years old. We've had the farmer's pouring permit through the state and through Lowell for 7.5 years.
Yeah, you have a good reputation, though.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else, George?
No, I don't know if there's.
Okay, well,
what do
no, I
we-
was going to ask Erin next if she had anything, yeah.
I'm not really sure what they're looking for, right now. You looking,
So what we need right now is we need the board to bless our Farmers Series pouring permit, which allows us to pour on the premise the alcohol we produce. which in this case is malt beverage, so it's beer. And then that, allowing that to happen will kind of speed up the state on getting the final approval through them, because this application gets sent to the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Aaron, any questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience, either here or on Zoom, that would like to tell us anything about this possible? Come on up to the microphone.
Just John Harrington, Chelmsford Water Commissioner. The question we would have you gone before us yet to how much water you're going to use in your process?
Sure,
John,
go ahead.
John,
Let
John,
him,
this,
let him use the microphone to answer your question.
yeah, but John, this is,
It's out of the scope.
yeah, this is just for us issuing them a license. I mean, that's really a water district issue. You know what I mean? I mean, we wouldn't come to your meeting and ask him how many seats he was going to have.
I'll invite him to one of our meetings.
There you go. That's,
As well as you, Pat.
okay.
Very good.
Happy to go.
See you before you go.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, is there anyone else that would like to ask about anything related to this license?
Christina Bruce has her hand up.
Okay,
Christina, did you?
Yes, this is Christina Bruce. I work in the town manager's office, for the record. I just wanted to offer a point of clarification to PJ's point about the floor plan. So there are two license applications for this location that will be before the ABCC. So there is his brewer's permit, which is separate from this one. And in that case, I think what PJ was saying is that the state is concerned about where the tanks are in the back room, et cetera, and they aren't too concerned about seating. But what this hearing is about is the pouring permit, which will also be approved after the local licensing authority. It will be approved by the state. So in that instance, the ABCC is concerned about the seating, especially outdoor seating. So if there is a discrepancy between what is depicted in the floor plan versus what is in the written description on the ABCC application, that is something that they would want clarification on. So those two are separate licenses.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I guess we don't have any more public input on this evening. As has been told to you, I'm sure by Christina and on the letter that you received, it is typically our process to keep the public hearing open until our next meeting. A lot of people, this is the first time they're hearing about this. They might have some issues or concerns, and that gives them an opportunity to come to our next meeting to give us any feedback.
Well, I would ask that if the board would waive that for for this particular thing. Putting us back another 2 weeks puts us actually another month back with the state, and there will be no possibility of opening this year with that case. We have an outstanding record with the city of Lowell. We never have any discrepancies or disputes or, disciplinary action with the state or the city of Lowell. I mean, we run a pretty tight ship over there, and we know what we're doing. We've been doing it for 7.5 years, and I would just ask the board if they could kindly waive that and possibly get this thing cleared up tonight.
George? Go ahead.
We're really just talking about paperwork, right? I mean, because if it isn't, they're not gonna have a problem with I'm assuming they're not gonna have a problem with the ABC. They've been doing business with them for 9 years. But they just need an okay on, I'm really a little
We need a
confused.
corrected package, too.
Yes, there are some, corrections I'd like to see in the application itself.
All right.
So I apologize, but I'm not inclined to waive our policy for this application.
What are the corrections?
We've talked about them,
Seating?
the seating, particularly about the outdoor seating, yeah.
I mean,
And you can come up to the microphone, sure.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I own on the Jersey Rose next door to the business. So I'm here in support of PJ and Navigation Brewery. I would ask you guys, for the sake of the town, for the sake of my business, to move forward with the permit. Every day that I'm here, I'm Lone Ranger. I'm, part of the revitalization. I think I've done a lot of really good for the town. But I'm a businesswoman, right? So if you guys push him back, you're pushing me back. You're pushing the community back. So I really do deeply and desperately ask you guys to consider moving forward so that this can open for my holiday season, so that I can have a joyous holiday season like everybody else. If it goes into January's snowy, and then we're kind of both Lone Rangers during the snow. So please do consider. I fully understand of what their brewery looks like in Lowell, and I understand that the seating isn't not necessarily the issue. This is the same of mock-ups of my house when I drew it. I moved things around. So that's all. Thank you. But please do consider, this is my business on the line too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to say, I could scratch out the plans now, that those seats aren't going to be there.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why did it take you this long to come here? Why is this pants on fire all of a sudden? Because we know the process, right? So
the process, the process is, unfortunately, we're dealing with 3 separate forms of government simultaneously. In order to get where I am right now, I needed to get federal approval. In order to get the state licenses, you have to have federal approval. So we were waiting for the federal approval, building permits, all those things to get line up so that we could go ahead and do this. I would have loved to do this back in July, but we didn't have a building permit to move forward. And in order to get all those things for the federal government, that's what you need to move forward. So it kind of puts the cart before the horse. And it's just, this is the nature of this business. It's not like we're a bar or a restaurant going in somewhere. We're actually producing the alcohol on site. We're only permitted to sell what we produce based off the licenses that we have. And it's just how the process works. I mean, I would have loved to come to the town first, but we can't get the farmer's pouring permit without a TTB approval, the federal government approval. So, and that just takes time.
Paul, were you going to say something?
No.
So I'm sorry, I'm not convinced.
What more do I need to convince you?
As I said, it is our policy. I mean, we don't really know you. Granted, you've done well in Lowell, and I appreciate that. But there have been times that we have had applications here, even with local people, that we have held to our policy. So I'm not inclined to waive our policy. I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it.
Well, and for a major,
we're discussing now whether to continue. So, is it about the application, or is it about our policy?
The application.
Okay, then come on up. If anybody else wants to speak before we make our decision about how to move forward, please do it now.
So working with PJ, I'm
Your
Bobby
name?
Moulton. I am the owner of Black Rhinestone. I own the building. Working with PJ and his crew to ensure that we can get navigation in time for the holiday season, which is huge for a local business. And I am a lifelong Chelmsford resident, born and bred, passionate. This is a passion project for me. Never been in real estate. I understand there's policies and there's procedures with how things are working. What I'd like to just ask of you guys is what is the risk of not waiving?
You know what? I asked you what you were coming up to speak about, and you said it wasn't policies. You are talking about our policies, so please don't. No. We don't have to answer your question. We're discussing up here whether to continue this public
okay.
hearing or to close it.
So this is all to do with outdoor seating right now. In the plans, in the outdoor seating,
The reason why they were moved forward without the architecture changing the plans was that PJ met with Christina, correct?
Yeah.
And explained that, you know, there were some discrepancies with the outdoor seating, and instead of going back to the architecture, the architect, which is a process, sometimes that's a month-long process to have an architect change the official plans. And you really can't change official plans, like throwing X's on outdoor seating. Like PJ couldn't do that. An architect has to sign off on changing any plans, and sometimes that's a very long process. So what PJ and Bob and myself thought would be a reasonable option was to go in front of reasonable people and indicate to them that these are the changes being made. They're going to be made. They're going to be made on the official sign-off. They're going to be made by the building commissioner. They're going to be reviewed by every single commissioner involved. But the process to move this forward was sort of an ask by us to see if the town could help us so that we could open up in a timely fashion. So it's just an ask. I understand that there's architectural changes that need to be made to this, but there's only one person who can really make those changes, and it's the architect. And sometimes that takes a long time. But those plans and everything that he is doing will be absolutely buttoned up by the time anybody goes live.
Okay, you've asked.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any thoughts?
So I'm actually not as concerned about the Xed-out tables because I think we have a capacity and a number of seating that's been approved, and that I think is more important than seeing the correct amount of tables in the plans. But I don't know, maybe you guys can help me understand why that's a bigger concern for you.
Well, to me, it's policy. It's a philosophy that we have a policy, and
That's
that's
for
a
public input, right? We're
No,
supposed
no,
to
no,
hold
for a
another meeting
public
in 2
hearing.
weeks for public input.
Well,
It has
and
nothing
we
to do
don't
with
typically, we
anything.
don't typically approve an incomplete or incorrect package.
I mean,
For me, there's two things. One is that the package requires changes before it's approved. I absolutely love that you're coming to Chelmsford, and I thank you for choosing Chelmsford. The other thing is that policy isn't in place to get in the way of business, but it's in place as a courtesy to the public. And we don't have any way of knowing whether there's anybody out there in the public that wants to come back and speak with us. So for something that's as major and as new as this, my concern is that we're doing that aspect of it a disservice. And that's why I think, I'm not going to put words in Pat's mouth, but that's why we have the policy. It's not to get in the way or to entertain a waiver to every person that comes up here because we're down to the wire. It's because, as Pat has said, we've had situations where members of the public hear about this for the first time at the first opening of the hearing, and we give them the opportunity to come back if they have anything else they would like us to consider.
Okay.
So I just want to kind of, there's another side to this. It's not just there so that we can have bureaucracy and policy and get in the way of business.
Then and this is just a question, then what was the purpose of the public notice?
to begin the public hearing.
Okay, and that was 10 days? and
This is to
notification?
open the public hearing.
Okay. I know, we had put something in the newspaper, so I figured
Right.
that was enough
You have
notification.
to, you have to notice it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that don't read the newspaper, as you know.
There's a lot of people that read online, and they know, they know this is coming through,
Well,
too.
there's some that don't. There's a lot that
Yeah.
don't. So, I mean, we're trying to get the word out as widely as possible, as are you. And that's the method that we have used in the past, and it is our policy to follow that process.
And one more plea then, has there ever been a time when you have done a waiver?
I don't think that matters.
George, did you want to say something?
All
I'm
right,
gonna say
I'm
something.
just asking.
I was just asking if there's any way that we can approve something that'll help them go forward without them being able to open without an approval, another approval or whatever. I don't know the answer. Because I'm a little concerned, but I'm a little confused, but I'd like to see the thing progress. That's all.
I know, and I know the process for them has been going on for quite a while.
Since February.
Since February, so,
But they needed some stuff now that they
Right, I
can
understand
send
that.
to another, they need our approval so they could go to the state. Is that what it is now?
Yeah.
Yes, this license will then go to the state, and then they'll be able to simultaneously give us our brewer's permit and farmer's pouring permit. Putting this back another 2 weeks, we'll get we won't get the farmer's brewing permit, we'll get the state permit. The state will have to come back out again with all the holidays coming in. You can essentially say from Thanksgiving to New Year's, it's hard to get anybody out. So we're just trying to get this all.
If we didn't have
Don't
Paul,
they have to come back out anyway?
No, they would come out, they would do it simultaneously. So they would come out for the first one to see the space, and then they come out for the last one to see the finished product.
then we'd
That's
still
for the
have,
farmer's pouring permit.
we'd still have to issue them an occupancy permit. We'd still have that trump, right? If we wanted to.
Oh, yeah, you totally
Well, the
do.
building commissioner would have to
Well,
issue an
yeah.
occupancy permit.
So that if everything is,
go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm just, you're making your statement, I'm making my statement.
Okay, make your statement.
Thank you, thank you. No, never mind, forget about it. I'll get you a, never mind.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
No, not if it's about our policy, Glenn, no.
I have a question.
Okay,
Yeah, the select board meetings are every 2 weeks by schedule?
yes.
Yeah, have you ever had a select board meeting between meetings?
No, not for one thing like this. No, please stop
I'm
this.
just asking the question.
We are trying to come up with this, we're trying to resolve this up here, and you're not being helpful, quite frankly. People coming up and at the last minute saying, oh, revise your policy.
Not agreeing with them or disagreeing with
I
them.
understand.
I'm asking whether you've ever had a select board meeting between the 2-week meetings.
We have had them, but only if they're scheduled, yes. So do we have a motion? Do we have any more discussion?
How much discussion? I'm inclined to let it go, honestly. I think that it's been a really long process, and, I mean, I think they're established in the area. They're not new guys to the business, you know, they know what they're doing. I'm inclined to let them get going. I know it's not policy, but I do think that this has been in the public eye, so people know that it's coming, and I don't know. It's my
I'd like
inclination.
George to finish whatever he was going to say.
George, I apologize for interrupting you.
No problem.
Finish your, whatever it is you wanted to
No,
say.
I just thought, well, we had the Trump, I mean, I'd like to see them be able to progress, and at the same time, they can't go anywhere without our final approval of it, which is the occupancy permit. So if everything isn't in place, isn't 100% the way we need it, then they can't go anywhere. But in the meantime, they can continue to get ready to open. And I mean, if you've been in business before, you know how hard it is all you do is paying. You know, you like to open the doors and have some receipts come in to, get out of debt so you're not working the whole first year for nothing. Whatever.
Could someone explain the process to me? What happens if there's an approval that is contingent on fixing the plans or whatever? What happens with that?
Well, I mean, if you were to vote and grant the license with approval of the corrected plans, basically, as soon as he submits it, which could be tomorrow or Wednesday or what have you, then it goes. In other words, whenever the board acts to approve this, Christina in our office is going to submit it to the Massachusetts Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission license. So if it were contingent upon that, as soon as she got that, she'd send it right out. If you table it, it's 2 weeks from now, and I think that's the distinction. So you could do a contingent upon the revised plans, and then it doesn't come back here, and it could happen in a matter of a day or two. That's the difference. So I think that's that's how it would work.
But we're not giving everything away if we do sign something tonight. I mean, we're not giving,
No.
that's my point.
Can you explain the exact dates to me?
The exact dates
Do
of.
you already have a date set up for the state to come out?
No, we don't,
do
we
this all
won't
at
have
once?
that until this is submitted.
Well, no, you told me that you could have them come out right now on the other part without
Oh,
this.
they could come out, they could call me tomorrow and say, we're coming there to come look at the brewery for the farmer's brewing permit, not the farmer's pouring permit. But if we have these both together, then what happens is, if this is another 2 weeks, right, then it might be another 2 weeks before they get a hold of me for that one. And that process can take anywhere from 30 to 45 days.
Why can you not put the date on the calendar with them after November 6th?
It's at their leisure. I'm at the mercy of the Alcohol Commission whenever they decide to come out, whenever their schedule's open. That's how they work.
So you
I can't
don't-
call
so
them
you
up
don't-
tomorrow.
So
and-
you don't have a date right now for their brewing visit either?
No, but if this gets submitted, I can then call and kind of put pressure on them to say, hey, can you guys come out and take a look at what we're going to be doing? They're going to have to do that anyway. So if they come out tomorrow, if I get a call tomorrow and says, hey, PJ, I'm on my way down there, can you meet me there? You drop everything and you have to go, because that's probably the only time he's going to get a chance. That'll happen. The same thing with the farmer's permit. But that's going to take another 30 days. When you guys submit this, when this is approved and submitted to the state, once the state receives it, it's typically 30 to 45 days for them to approve it. If that's another 2 weeks, the likelihood that they don't, let's put it this way, I put my farmer's brewer's permit in.
You're already into December with 30 to 45 days.
And that's where we could open up as soon as possible. As soon as I get that farmer's pouring permit, everything else is going to be in line. All we have to do is get our occupancy permit. That'll be the last thing that we have to do. And that's all through the town. It's a very confusing process. It's, like I said, it's not like your typical restaurant where this is just for the alcohol license. There's a bunch of different licenses that are all kind of.
Can I, how long do you expect the occupancy permit to take? Like a couple of days?
Yeah, I
know
don't think
you're in
that'll
contact
take
with-
long. That's as soon as all the departments sign off on it, we would have an occupancy permit.
Within like a couple days?
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could be open before Christmas potentially?
Oh, yeah, there's a potential. If there's another meeting 2 weeks, the likelihood that it opens in 2023 is uncertain. Definitely, it probably will not happen, just because of the holidays.
Yeah.
You can count those last 2 weeks in December out, so. Do you have any more questions? 'Cause I'll take a seat, so.
No, I think it's just what we need to decide here, whether we're going to continue this public hearing or close it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I'm still not,
And then there's the option of continuing it for a week but
I mean, if we have no need to meet next week, I mean, it's not anything that we've ever done before.
available.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
Do you want to make a motion?
The first thing you have to do is close the public hearing,
Right,
or
that's-
continue
that's-
the public hearing.
that's
And
the
I'm not-
motion.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
that's the motion
It's
I'm
either to close or to
asking
continue the
for.
public hearing.
Right.
Obviously, close, you know the ramifications of that.
I get it. I just, for the record, I am just not happy that this is all pants on fire again. I mean, we know the process. Everybody knows the process. And I just have a hard time accepting that we couldn't have been here before tonight. But I understand where the applicant's position is.
Yeah, and it's the end of the year. I mean, I think a lot of things are like this at the end of the year, where
Yeah,
people are
and-
trying to get things in before.
And I'm thrilled that this is coming to Chelmsford, so.
I think it'd be a great addition.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it
I'm
is
sure it will.
confusing, but, and it's the first time anything like this, we've had to go through this process, so it is confusing. And the only thing I would concern is the fact that if we're not happy, they don't get an occupancy permit, no matter what they do. So that's, to me, I'm willing to take a shot with them, but, I don't.
This would come up for renewal again in December?
It can't come up for renewal until the permit is approved by the state, and we don't know the time frame for that. So, in essence, your approval is likely going to be a 2024 approval, because think about it, as we're talking about.
No, I'm confused. If
Think about it,
If it's going to be 2024, why are we?
Well, because we're not
worrying
going
about
to
closing tonight?
charge. The town is not in good faith charging somebody a full year license and putting them through an application for a 2-week license, 2 week within the calendar year. So
Oh,
we
I
would
see
not
what
put
you're
it back.
saying. Yeah.
we would continue our approval because, again, even though it's October, 23rd,
Yeah.
we're not going to then say to somebody, okay, oh, congratulations, you got your license
Yeah,
on
come back
December
in 2
18th.
Yeah.
Give us another annual license fee. No, we don't do that.
So, I mean,
Nice of us.
and I just want to be clear, too. I am very glad that they're coming. But as you mentioned, too, George, this is the first time that we've gone through a process like this, which to me is almost more of a reason that we should follow our policy, because there might be things that we're missing that somebody in the public might say, well, have you thought about this, or what about that? So, but I will entertain a motion.
Help me for a second, Pat. How do you see, I understand it's a pouring license, which is different than our typical
Yeah,
liquor license, but it's essentially this, giving them license to do the same thing.
sure, yeah.
So
I mean, it probably is nothing.
where's the unknown?
It was George that
unknowns?
said it was new for us. It's just, it is a new type of license for us, for sure. So, can we get a motion?
Can we poll? You guys want to close it tonight?
So we have to close it if we want
No.
to vote on it.
If you want to vote on it, you have to close
The
it.
choice is either close it and vote or keep it open for 2 weeks.
Can I ask what happens if it doesn't pass? When do they have to come back?
If it doesn't
We'll come back at
pass,
the next one.
If we were to close the public hearing and vote to approve this tonight, if it weren't approved?
I mean, if we didn't vote to approve it?
Yes. They would have to refile and come back.
Well, you probably would I think what you would do is you'd reconsider the vote to continue and then vote to continue the public hearing, as opposed to, you said, having them resubmit, which we wouldn't do. Because otherwise you have to re-advertise the hearing, and then you'd be in
Yeah,
January.
if we had to
Oh, so you'd-
reopen it.
Yeah,
we'd
so I
have
think if the vote, if the unlikely scenario you described were to occur, then you're right, you'd have to reconsider your vote and then come back and continue the public hearing.
And we can do that.
Yes,
We
you can do
reopen
that.
the public
Yeah,
hearing tonight.
procedurally, yes, you can do
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay. So it's not a final, okay.
Correct.
But if we close it, then we can't reopen it. If we close it tonight, we cannot reopen the public hearing.
Oh, I thought you just said we could.
No.
Yeah.
No, not if we close the public hearing, then we'd be basically
Planning board
required.
does it.
Yeah, I think you could, Pat. In the same meeting, I think you could do it.
the same meeting.
You could reconsider your vote and continue the
Oh,
public.
that's not what I mean.
Okay, what do you mean?
I mean, if we close the public hearing
Yep,
tonight.
Yep.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. Okay.
So we could.
But anyway, so do we have a motion? Somebody make a motion. We've
So I'm
taken way too long
all
on
right.
this.
So I'm going to just say, considering the support for this and the fact that this is an established business in the area, with my cup of holiday cheer, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
George, you're not in favor?
No, I'm staying.
Of closing the public hearing?
That's okay.
You need a
You
3-to-1 vote.
We have to,
You need the.
All right, I'll vote the other way then. Really?
what are you voting?
Are you voting to close the public hearing?
Or to keep it open?
I want to keep it open. Well, I mean, if you close it, does that mean we can issue them?
Yes.
gonna close it
yes,
so we
that's
can
what-
vote.
That's
All
what
right,
you
I'll
want to
close
do.
it. I'll close it.
Okay.
I'm
I think
sorry.
that's what you were intending.
All right, so we have 3 in favor and I am opposed.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we have another.
So what is, the correction that we need to the packet is to correct the seating plan?
The approval would be to grant the license as submitted with the applicant submitting a corrected seating plan to the select board office.
And that one
And I think there was some.
narrative
there was-
on section 3,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
description of the premises, which includes the outdoor
yeah,
seating.
right. A revised plan and description that no longer references outdoor seating.
So I will make a motion to approve the malt beverages farmer series pouring permit for Navigation Brewery Company, Inc. at 15 Central Square, contingent on submitting a revised seating plan, corrected seating plan, and a corrected description of the premises as discussed this evening.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much.
Thanks for choosing
Thank you.
Chelmsford.
Well, we're happy to be here.
Okay, we have a few more licenses. Hopefully, they won't take as long. All right, first of all, we have a roadside vendor license for Central Congregational Church from November 24th to October 23rd for their usual Christmas trees and wreaths. We have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to.
Oh, wait a minute. We have somebody here to speak about it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
My name is Margie Dissinger. I'm the one who did the application. I live at 15 Mansfield Drive, and I'm here on behalf of Central Congregational Church. Again, this is our annual fundraiser of selling Christmas trees and wreaths. It's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. Any questions?
Okay. I don't think so, so now we're ready for a motion.
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the roadside vendor license for the Central Congregational Church from November 24th to December 23rd, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And we have one
I
abstain.
abstain.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have another fundraiser for the Huntington Disease fundraiser at the Chelmsford Senior Center. Do we have anybody here to speak about that? Is David Souza there by any chance? No?
No, I don't see anybody on the Zoom either.
Okay, this is an annual event, so,
I will make a motion to approve the one-day beer and wine license for the Huntington's Disease Society of America at the Chelmsford Senior Center on November, that says 2022, for November of 2023,
Yeah.
whatever the date is supposed to be.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we have a special license to sell wine at an agricultural event for Aronop's Cellars. Do we have anybody here from Aronop?
Yes,
In
yeah,
the Zoom.
online, on Zoom, the Noel Powell.
Okay,
Yes, this is Noel Powell. I'm the owner and winemaker of Aronap Cellars, located in Westford, Massachusetts. We're seeking to take part in the Maxwell's Winter Farmers Market for the 2023 to 2024 season. This would be, I believe, our 9th year of being a vendor at the market, selling our farm wine and offering samples during the market.
okay, any questions for the applicant?
No.
Not, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special license to sell wine at the agricultural event for Aaron Knapp Cellars LLC at Maxwell's Winter Farm Market as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, you're all set. Good luck. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then we have the same thing for selling wine at agricultural event for House Bear Brewing. Do you have anybody from House Bear Brewing here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Beth with House Bear Brewing. We've been making mead since 2013, and I've been at the Maxwell's Farmers Market for many years. During the pandemic, we added session mead and cider to our lineup as well. And we really enjoy coming over to Maxwell's to do the market every winter. We're very excited to be back.
Okay, anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay, I'll have them entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special license to sell wine at the agricultural event for House Bear Brewing LLC at Maxwell's Winter Farmers Market as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 4-0. Good luck, Beth.
Thank you so much. Can't wait to see you guys. Bye.
Okay, our first report this evening is National Grid Senior Program Manager Curtis Davis to talk about double poles. Is Curtis Davis here?
He's on the Zoom.
Good evening. Yes, I'm here, as well as my co-workers, Laura Kelleher and Joy Banks.
Okay, well, we got a new report, but it doesn't look much different than the old report. Was there any progress made that you could tell us about? And we also did ask to get a list of poles that were removed, and I didn't see that anywhere.
So we did make some great progress over the last couple of months. As of this afternoon, the current open number of open tickets for double poles is at 77. Now, I want to just highlight why, that number still kind of looks around the same as it was last time we talked. That's because over the course of last month and this month, we completed creating tickets for the remaining poles from the Chelmsford number 9 project, as well as creating tickets for any double poles that were on the Chelmsford DPW's list that did not have an engines ticket. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, in September, we closed 68 tickets, and then in October, we closed 52 tickets. So, over the last 2 months, over 120 double pole tickets were closed out.
Okay, as I said, I think we did ask for a list of those. Could you provide that next time so that we can see where the work is happening? I know there's not a lot that I've gone by that have been removed, but I don't know if anybody else has had any experience with seeing some activity in their neighborhoods. So
yes, we can.
Okay.
Sorry to interject. I just wanted to confirm that we can provide that list of closed tickets from the last few months. So we'll have that too this week.
Okay, and your expected progress in the next month or so? What can we expect by our next report?
So again, we're continue to make sure that this continues to be addressed and work with our partners who are also attached to our polls to make sure that we continue to have these tickets progressed and closed out. So we've been working closely with the town as well as First Light, Comcast, and Verizon to make sure that these continue to be worked, and so that the progress will be very similar to what we've seen the last few months. There will be, more of a limited amount of tickets created just because we've gotten to a great spot with making sure any tickets that hadn't been created have been. So trying to make it as accurate as possible.
Okay, any board members have any questions for Curtis?
Not that you've already asked.
Aaron, did you wish?
How many are on this list? I don't know, I'm not sure if you just already said it. And I
Said there were
missed it.
82 on this list, and now you're down to 77, is that what you said?
That's correct. I believe when I sent it to you on Wednesday afternoon, it was somewhere around 82.
82.
And then a few have been removed since then. So currently there's 77.
And that's including the DPW ones and everything.
There's 86 on this list, if I look at the spreadsheet.
Oh, 86. So roughly we've done 11 polls or have closed out 11 tickets since I sent that on Wednesday.
Yeah, so there's like 76 left or something, right?
Correct. 77.
Right, and, Curtis, be mindful, we're not closing out the ticket, Verizon is. They pull the poll, right?
Correct. Yep, that's correct. Joy makes a good point here that we make sure to have the tickets created, so they're assigned in engines to the appropriate utilities. And then once they progress through all the transfers, the last to transfer, as we've discussed, is Verizon, and they're responsible for pulling the poll and ultimately closing out that ticket. So it's been a joint effort between us and Verizon.
Yeah, and then I think, too, Laura can provide that list of completed polls, removals, because when the town is looking at the list, the numbers don't look like they've moved because everything that was completed isn't on there, right? It dropped off. So if we provide that poll, at least they could do some maybe quality assurance on those polls that have been remediated by Verizon, just to make sure, and that way next month, if there's any discrepancies there, I can bring them back to Verizon.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Paul, do you have
Well,
anything?
the only question I have, Curtis, Joy, whomever, Curtis, there are 3 polls that are the balls in National Grid's court, and I know we've talked about this previously, where the days age are, in almost 2000, they go back to 2014, 2013, or 2000, one even says 2003, but I find that hard to believe. But I guess the question is, and I know they have to do with butt-end polls and so forth, but how do we get those resolved? Because they've remained throughout this process. They've obviously been in the system for quite some time. How do we get those sticky ones resolved that have been in the system? And you can see them. One's at 251 Boston Road, one's at 196 River Neck Road, one's at 5 Barton Hill Road, and they've been in there for years. And I guess the question is, how do we get those sticky ones out of, moving forward? Because, as you noted, if National Grid doesn't initiate it or do its work, it's not going anywhere. And I think those are the ones that if I'm looking at it from the outside, are the ones that are probably most alarming, as opposed to one that's dated 2023.
Sure. No, that's a good question, Paul. And, I'll make sure to speak with our operations this week about those polls that are outstanding. Again, I'm not sure, to the accuracy of those dates, like 2003, seems off to me as well. But I'll make sure that between Joy, Laura, and myself, we speak with operations and ask them to, prioritize any work that needs to be done on these outstanding tickets where National Grid is next to go, and ask them for their assistance in making sure that we can get that work completed so the ticket can progress in engines.
Okay. No, because I agree. You can't control what goes on after you, and you don't remove them. That's Verizon. But as you can see, there seem to be about 7 or 8 that may have some age to them that are in the balls in National Grid's court. And I guess that's, to me, even going into this process, that was the ones that were most troubling. Was, why do these things remain? Why do some of these remain so long? And it's got to be a combination of, Anyway, you can figure out why they are and let us know what they are.
Yeah, and so, I'll have to do a little bit, more of a dive deep into those, because I know within the last month or two that there were only really 3 that were on National Grid's queue. And so, as you can see, that number has jumped a little bit, and that can be from disputes from the other municipalities. So I'm not sure how those had quite opened up, but we'll make sure to work with our operations manager and ask for their help in resolving these open tickets where National Grid is assigned as next to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for providing this and for continuing to make progress. So can we set a date for you to come next month? I think we have a meeting on November 20th. Would that work with your schedule?
Unfortunately, I'm unavailable for the next couple of months for the dates. But in the meantime, I'm happy to send a progress update every month. And, happy to come back in the new year to a select board meeting to give an update.
Curtis, I think Laura and I could probably join in your absence. As long as you prepare the report, maybe we just continue prior to the meeting to have a touch base the way we have been. We can provide the update.
Okay, that works.
Laura, if that's okay with you, I'm happy to join. I don't know if Laura's available, but if I'm available, I'm happy to join.
Okay, so we'll look for somebody on November 20th then and look for a report ahead of that time with progress.
Is that okay, Curtis?
Yeah, nope, that's fine, Joy. I appreciate you offering to do so.
That might be helpful, because again, we could be getting into inclement weather, so if we don't
Right.
get them in the next month, it might be harder to do in December.
Yeah, and then maybe
January.
after that, we can wait till we
Yeah.
can skip December and wait till January or later.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we'll.
I will say that our focus over the next couple of weeks will be to work with operations on those long-standing National Grid poles. I had taken a deep dive into a couple of those, and there was some very unique issues associated with those poles that we'll get some details on and see what their remediation plan is going to be.
Okay, so we'll look for that report then too.
Great, thank you.
All right, so thank you all for coming, and we'll hear from you again in 4 weeks or so.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, our next report is Christine Clancy, our monthly ARPA update.
Good evening. So this is the monthly ARPA update. I did update the spreadsheet. We can go over it a little bit, but in the spreadsheet that I've updated, I have added the 3 projects that were allocated in the last select board meeting, the 3 watersheds, which amount to $275,000. Right now, we're developing those scopes to issue to select a consultant, and the plan would be to do that work this fall, this winter, and then hopefully have recommendations this spring. So those are 3 important projects that we're happy to move forward with. And then also I have a list of proposed projects too that we can, if we want to still talk about. But just to give a summary where we are, I did update the spreadsheet to include those 3 projects. Also looking, so to date, I have here, it says $8.18 million has been allocated to now 49 ARPA projects. That includes the $275,000 that I just added amongst those 3 projects. So that does balance, and also in that, and I say there's $2 million remaining in unallocated ARPA funds. Also, because we were tracking, when we get to the spreadsheet, we were tracking that overage. So so it's actually 8.18 million plus that overage that we were tracking in the total projected forecast. In total, with the project funds, 90% of all appropriated projects have been have been procured, and 64% of those projects have been invoiced or spent. I can maybe just go over the spreadsheet a little bit, just to go over some of this is the same spreadsheet that we look at monthly, just to go over some highlights. So number 3, I did update from last month. If you looked at the last update, in the amount procured column, it didn't reflect the last bid, which was the modular units 590, and I also carried a 10% contingency. So that is updated so it had been procured, and we did report the status update, but the dollar value was inaccurate. So that has been updated, and so that just shows a slight additional. I think we were carrying it was almost $100,000 off there. As far as the other updates, the testing and balancing projects, as you go on to the 14, 17, 18, 19, these, and 20, these are all right now still under procurement. We just haven't not advanced it right now with all the other projects. You know, we have the boilers at the high school and the center school, but this is our next priority along with the watershed assessments. Those are our focus right now. Going on down the list, there's not too many updates right now. We do anticipate to receive the culvert assessment, which is number 34. That's $100,000. We assessed 14 culverts. We did have a preliminary look at some culverts, the recommendations, but that report is pending this month. And then at the bottom, for number 47, 48, 49, these are the recently 3 added projects. So these will be watershed assessments of Graniteville, Davis Road, Dunshire, Tingsboro Road, Evergreen Street. And these really are needed just based on the water, the rainfall that we've received really shows that these areas are flood-prone areas. And so hopefully through that assessment, we'll have some great recommendations for the spring. That is the update of, I guess, existing projects. Before I move on to the recommended projects, are there any questions on this spreadsheet?
Any questions on those?
So there's roughly like $500,000 in the not procured yet in the red, right? The red color.
Yes, I mean, so we just added the.
Right,
Yes.
half of
Yeah.
that is what we just added.
Yes.
So you're saying you're going to try to get those procured this fall? or-
Yes. So the testing and balancing looks like it's multiple projects. That really is one project. So right now we're working on procuring the design. The design will be procured this fall. The construction will probably be procured that's going to be preceding the design. So that might be the winter. The consultant piece or the numbers projects 47, 48, 49, that will be procured this fall. And the assessment will continue, that's probably going to be an assessment that will go into the spring.
Yeah.
And we're looking to see if number 47, 48, 49, that might be procured as one project. We're just looking at that right now to see. It might make sense to combine that as one project. And there's components where it says partially procured. The Parker School, that's just what we had remaining funds. But I would say the projects highlighted in red are really, that's where our focus is, that remains. Any other questions?
George, you had a question? Go ahead.
On the Dunshire project, you're doing work other than the ARPA money on that?
So we did repair or replacement of 2 of the culverts. That is essentially, the culverts are replaced. It looks great. We still have to finish paving and punch list, so that will continue the next couple of weeks. So that project is separate. This is really looking at the whole watershed assessment and to seeing what we need to do, not necessarily to the Dunshire culverts, but maybe to actually Tingsboro Road or the overall area.
Does the elevation of the river have an impact on the drainage there?
The elevation of the river relative to the elevation of the watershed is very close. So, if the river goes up, then yes, it could.
That's why they couldn't drain it out of there for a while, and they had all the flooding. and
Exactly,
whatever.
yeah.
Even though it's
It's a very much a
Out
low
of the way,
point. It's
yeah.
a low point in the town.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
And then I just have the proposed projects list as the next attachment. And this has been updated, like I said, I think we've been presented a couple times, but revised monthly. So I've taken the 3 watersheds off of this list since those have been appropriated. I've updated it. The only project that I added, just in talking with Manager Cohen, is I know that in terms of goals, looking at sewer capacity, just the feasibility of connecting to the MWRA. So I did add that, not necessarily as a priority project, but just as an opportunity project. I think it's something that I have marked as a need. Doesn't necessarily have to be ARPA, but that's also just something I added to the list just because it. I know a lot of these projects are focused on drainage, also looking at some sewer, and then there's some facilities, but that's just been highlighted as a potential need. So I did add that. Overall, the amount, amounts to 2.9 million. We only have essentially 2 million left. Total high priority projects is 1.88, so just under the 2 million. The majority of the projects are drainage projects. I will say that a lot of these, especially numbers 1 through 6, if it is, I don't know when they potentially would be appropriated, but a lot of these would be completed in-house through DPW, and we would start the permitting process this winter. Right now, we're ramping down on paving, so we potentially could start some of this work, I would say, in November, and if we were given the green light.
So you've got $2 million that has been allocated. Of what's been allocated, you have a contingency of
No, she's,
I have a backlog of 2.9 million, but I went through and said, what do I think is the most important projects?
No. I'm talking about what you're holding for contingency. You've got in the original appropriation where we are tonight. You're holding a contingency of.
in the colored sheet?
So I did separate the funds.
Right. So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you basically have about $500,000 of contingency.
Yes. Yeah. So we will continue to update that monthly. So as projects come off this list, they move onto the color, the tracking list. That's why when I added in the item 3, I wanted to make sure that's such a large project, and we already came up with a small, a potential change order. So I want to try to carry some contingency in some of these large construction projects. I think, at least for now, the construction projects are behind us on the colored spreadsheet, minus the testing and balancing. This is where I have a contingency held at the bottom. So I say
On the gray sheet, you can clearly see the contingency that you've added.
Yes.
What I've lost lock on is on the colored spreadsheet. Do those numbers that we carried over include any contingency? Or what contingency have we built up? Because it doesn't call it out.
So the contingency, well, a lot of these projects are, when we first had this project, and a lot of the spreadsheet, this list, a lot of the projects weren't procured. So initially, before we procured, we carried some contingency, especially with some of the HVAC projects. Some of those came in a little low, like the senior center, for example. We had a contingency of, I think, 25%. That came in under budget. So I've revised it. I basically update the projected forecast. Some of the other projects, as example, the modular RTU replacement, it looks like it's a 50% overrun. That's just because really the scope at the time, I think, was vague when we first put in a number, that those projects grew. So so the projected forecast is what we're either it includes the contingency or it has a projected forecast in that number. So
to say it another way, if I look at the projects not procured, the red items in the colored spreadsheet, there's about $500,000 of projects there that really don't have contingency in them right now.
So
Is that correct?
Correct. I didn't add it.
And we don't yet know what they're actually going to come in at.
So I would say a good portion of that is an assessment. So when we do an assessment, that's where, so construction has so many unknown factors. You have to get the project installed. That is where you have a construction contingency. When in terms of this watershed assessment, we have estimates, and we can also look at how we want to scope that out. I think we have a little more ability to work on that fee. So in the $275,000, I didn't carry a contingency, or same in like the culvert repair project, because that's an assessment, and so we're going through that is going to then probably make recommendations for either additional investigations or construction. So that would be as a future phase. Like the assessment is just going to identify what needs to be done, and that those numbers.
And then we'll have to figure out how to pay for it, because we won't have ARPA
And we don't know
money.
the cost of that. We don't know, and also especially 2 of these areas are also in Mass DOT jurisdiction too, partial. So there's potentially where we're going to be giving information to Mass DOT, and they might have to fund it as well. For those, but I mean, the assessments are very critical in identifying what the need is. So definitely advocating for that. But I didn't carry contingencies in the assessments because it is really just usually assessments. We can have a placeholder and negotiate that how we fit the scope into that assessment, if that makes sense.
And then you're carrying a $350,000 contingency on your high projects, correct?
I see that. I guess
Okay, so
what I feel I'm still trying to get comfortable with is, so even with the so we have the 350 contingency, that brings you to roughly 1.9 million out of 2 million that's left.
Sure.
So there's like 100K.
Right, the 100K
There's only
unallocated.
100K of wiggle
Yes.
room. And so I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, first of all, what's the timing of these high priority projects, and where do you need to start engineering soon? Is it on all of them, or is it on a subset? Because we still have all
Sure.
these red ones we haven't done yet.
Yep.
And then I guess part of what I'm thinking about, Christine and Paul, is that if we wind up overrunning an ARPA project, then we've got to go ask for a budget change at town meeting or something, right? So is it better to take a smaller chunk right now to get rolling on the high priority engineering tasks while some of this other stuff gets procured, and know whether we need to maybe take a project wholesale out and request budget for that project wholesale? I don't know what our confidence level is that we can come in at the 1.88 million. That's what I'm struggling with.
I can maybe speak to that a little bit. So
with
what
procurement
remains
issues and everything else that were supply chain issues and.
Sure. So what remains mostly is, I mean, I have carried in construction remaining. I'm carrying a contingency for those projects. But the tab, I think, is like the last maybe unknown. I call it the tab. It's the testing and balancing projects.
That's
So
in the colored spreadsheet.
the colored
Right,
spreadsheet.
all those.
That's the last. That also, though, has the scope can also be worked. So that in the design, we're going to design to try to meet that budget. I mean, in terms of testing and balancing, you could potentially, I mean, one of them is the library. We know at some point in the next maybe 5 years, we'll have to look at potentially replacing the HVAC. So testing and balancing, we're going to scope it to what within the budget, and also to be able to upgrade that system as best as we can. So what I'm trying to say is there's always going to maybe be more needs in some of these areas. The watershed assessment is an example where we have that money. I think that's a really good number where we can do a thorough investigation and make additional recommendations. Another example is the culvert structural assessments. That was done. That is coming with a number of recommendations, and we haven't figured out how to fund those recommendations yet. But the assessments are, we're just going to have more needs. I wasn't planning for those assessment needs to necessarily be under ARPA. When I look at these projects, I can maybe step through some of the examples of where anything we're designing in-house, permitting wise, we would like to do it this November, starting this November. So we would need a green light soon on some of these projects. So the Robertsfield drainage project is an example. That's where we would potentially start doing surveying work before the snow falls in-house and getting that project out through permitting. As far as the construction work, that would take place in the spring. So I guess we could also we would maybe just want to get the go ahead to design it and get it started. Stream cleaning on Pendleton Outfall, that's something that is going out to bid to do the work. But we would want to do that design also. That requires a permit before Conservation Commission as well. Repair drainage.
So 115K for line item 1. Is that just the engineering?
No.
So that's the engineering and the construction. So there's a subset of that you want to move out on now.
So so we want to move forward with design and permitting, and if there's any wetland flagging, surveying, we would move forward now.
That's what I'm trying to get my head around, is like how much of this is what you have to move out on now while we wait for the rest of this to catch up to know whether we have the money left to allocate. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. And then we would probably be putting items out to bid if appropriated by January, I'd say, or even December potentially.
But on the one hand, we're fairly confident that the amount that we need for the design is pretty solid. So even if we were to do it in phases, we're really not going to know anymore. If tonight we said, well, instead of giving you the 115, we'll give you 50,000, and then come back, we're really not going to know anymore, because until it's bid, you're not going to know for third-party
Well,
vendors.
what you'll know is how the rest of this is laying
Right.
I mean,
out,
these are
too.
very conceptual preliminary designs.
Right.
So as we advance the design, we can update the cost estimate, if that's what you're, and then come back and ask for that until we get
She's
the.
concerned that we're overextending ourselves.
am.
And
Especially with all the lack of predictability in the environment right now.
And what we're saying is, in our discussions, is we really don't see any variability in what's not been achieved. And I think that's sort of the yin and the yang of what we're at.
Correct, yeah.
You don't see variability in the gray list, is what you're saying?
No.
Why?
And
I mean, so drain, I will say, so we have huge variability in the HVAC and building projects because we don't have great cost data. I mean, it's based on how people are bidding it. In terms of our drainage projects, our roadway projects, we have great cost information. Every Mass DOT project that's bid, there's a whole cost database, so we can look up and say, what's that cost of per linear foot of pipe? Asphalt, we have very, very solid prices in anything horizontal construction. So I feel very confident in these numbers. Not to say a bidder comes in and says, oh, I'm not going to charge $115,000. I'm going to put a bid in for $200,000. In this market, it is possible still. But we have a very, very detailed line item when we develop these drainage cost estimates. When you ask me what the cost of a HVAC for testing and balancing, it's like based on square foot. It's just that we don't have the ability in-house, and even sometimes the design, though that seems highly variable. So these numbers, you shouldn't see 50% increase unless there's a severe scope change, I guess, as we develop the scope. But these are pretty straightforward projects. We're trying to get a pipe from point A to point B in the park, cleaning out, stream cleaning of an outfall. So these are fairly easy projects compared to some of the more complex building projects that we did to date, and where you see the 50% increase. Example, RTU units, the cost of the equipment went up 60%, and that's something that we couldn't predict.
And is it just items 1 through 6 that require the engineering effort? The other ones seem like you're just switching equipment out or adding equipment.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, these all the first 6 require engineering. Number 9 and 10 are critical but not time sensitive in terms of I guess the only so for 9 and 10, this is that if we want to have more accurate flow data or more real-time flow data in our pump stations, especially the 5 pump stations where we have our monthly reporting, to try to correlate better between rain events, wet weather events, and the flows, that is critical for that infrastructure. So that is important, and that's something we could actually probably procure. At least number 9, we procure potentially. I'm actually trying to see if there's someone on the state contract that could potentially be procured in the next month, if possible. That there's really no engineering related to that. Number 10 is a more involved project that that would be a procurement. Number 12, we actually have a design in that, so we have I would say a 60% design, and so for number 12, we're fairly confident in that price. That includes a little bit of contingency, and then 14 is just something that $250,000 is a large number, but it's an assessment, and so we know we have to clean. It's essentially you clean the switchgear, and as you clean it, you assess it. So again, that's where I wouldn't probably look to go over the 250 in that. We can control that cost.
Okay.
So I guess based on what you just said, you'd kind of look for us to give some sense on 1 through 6. Those seems to be the ones that you want to get working on in-house.
So 1 through 6 that we could start working in-house, that would be great. Number 9, if we want to obtain that data or that equipment, that would be something potentially to move forward on, to be able to improve our flow metering capabilities, and that's something that I think could be a quick project. Number 12, we've been trying to do for a while. That's something that we're just waiting for the funding. And number 14's an involved project, but it's an assessment. So I think if we could allocate a number, again, and that's a project too that, I mean, it's been something that we've been looking to do for some time. So that is this time, it's just whenever we have the ability to do it, we're going to jump on and do it.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess the reason why I'm focusing on 1 through 6, those seem to be like you said, something that you might have the time to commit to them in the near term.
Yeah, so starting in November, we probably will have, because right now we're just ramping down construction till mid-November, and then we're going to be jumping right on these projects if we can.
Yeah, but I don't know how comfortable everybody is with, as Virginia kind of alluded to, allocating another $2 million, right? Or even close to it for some of these projects. I don't know what your thoughts would be, but if anybody has willingness to commit to anything today to give Christina the go-ahead on some of these this evening, we can revisit it, obviously, whenever we want.
What is your, Pat, what is your preference, to partially allocate the 1 through 6?
That would be my preference.
That's your preference?
Yeah.
Could I also add 9? Any information we can have on sewer flow and infiltration is valuable.
Yeah.
And I know it's only a $35,000 project, but that would be very helpful, because this, as you know, you'll be getting another report at your next meeting, that the sewer flows are we're really concerned about inflow and infiltration, and that will better help us track to like storm time,
Okay.
storm events, as opposed to this, longer time period. So if you could do 1 through 6 and 9, that would be great.
And so you would pull those over into this spreadsheet
Yes,
at the
yes.
estimated cost column, and in this gray spreadsheet, the 350K contingency plus the remaining ones would stay here for now.
Yeah.
Is that right? So that feels better to me, if you want to let it ride for a little bit and see where some of these other
Yeah,
things
that leaves you
fall
about
out.
800. That leaves you about 800,000,
Right,
because
that
you have the
leaves
3 plus the
instead of
5.
100.
Yeah. Right.
And we'll continue to track this monthly, and so as updates are made, then we can still, I guess I'll just have these 2 spreadsheets separately tracked, and then we can decide how
That'd be good.
to move money.
Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So I'll make a motion to appropriate the ARPA funds for the recommended DPW projects numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9, as presented in the estimated cost column.
Second the motion.
Okay, any additional comments, questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. Okay. Now we're to the highlight of the evening.
That was the brewery.
You want a motion?
If you want, I was just going to, say, as you, anybody who's been here from the beginning of our meeting, we did have a potential for an executive session at the beginning if we had anything else we needed to talk about with the town manager's proposed contract. There was no need for that executive session. So we have come to an agreement with the town manager's new contract, and if the vote goes as we expect this evening, that'll be posted. When would that be posted?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. So anybody's
As soon as I get the signature, I'd have to get the signatures from Labor Council and the town clerk.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be tomorrow. But
It'll be sometime, should be sometime tomorrow. So, do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the employment agreement for the town manager, Paul Cohen, dated October 23rd, 2023, for the term of July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2027, as previously and individually reviewed.
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Anybody have any questions, anything they'd like to talk about it? Paul, any comments from you?
Well, yeah, I say thank you. I look forward to working, with this board and with the community for the, under this 4-year agreement that, again, goes retroactive back to this July 1. I thank you for your support and look forward to continued successes in the years to come. Thank you very much.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 4-0. Congratulations, Paul. All right, now to your reports.
Yeah, just a brief report this evening. I just want to inform the board and the community formally that the town has received a sustainable materials recovery grant in the amount of $18,900 from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. This has to do with our recycling programs, and then the funding goes in to further enhance our efforts at waste reduction, school recycling, and so forth. So again, it's a part of our ongoing efforts for recycling. Obviously, that concludes my report. All I will note to the board is that we concluded town meeting last Thursday evening. At your next meeting, because we weren't sure what this meeting was going to be tonight or if we would finish, but at your next meeting in 2 weeks on November 6th, we'll have action items that come out of the town meeting for consideration. I mean, we need to appoint some committees such as the strategic plan steering committee, the committee regarding Coolest Farm on Pine Hill Road and so forth. So, we'll start that because I think we really want to get these things in motion before the holidays, which are coming right, literally 1 month, calendar month from today is Thanksgiving in 31 days. So we'll hopefully get this out on the 6th and get people attention before we, so we can hit the ground running really hard in the new year. Well, thank you.
Okay. And you have an appointment.
Yeah, the appointment, I do have an appointment for the tree committee. John Thompson of Arbor Road wants to be on the tree committee, so he apparently lives on the correct street. So he's a long-term town resident and town meeting rep, and he, has served on the North Town Hall Advisory Committee. So again, I'd seek your confirmation to the appointment of John Thompson for a term ending June 30th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to confirm the town manager appointment of John Thompson to the tree committee for a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Thank you.
All right. Go to meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the select board regular meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2023.
Second the motion.
Give a motion and a second. Any corrections, edits? Not? All in favor? Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the select board regular meeting minutes of October 6th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, any comments, corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And just an announcement on releasability of executive session minutes. Minutes that will be released September 29, 2023, segment 1, and it's not to be released September 29, 2023, segment 2. Okay. Liaison reports. George, anything?
Oh, all set, thanks.
Okay. Aaron? Okay, Virginia?
I do have one. Hang on a second. So from the Vinyl Square Strategic Action Plan Committee, the committee has started planning their 2023 holiday tree lighting event, which will be on Saturday, December 2nd. And their subcommittee for that is meeting this Thursday, October 26th at 7:30. So they're looking for any volunteers that want to join them, either in helping to decorate the square or participating on the day of event. If you are interested, you can call or text Joe Tierney at 508-641-8700, or contact any member of the tree lighting team, which includes Brian Creamer, Laura Lynn Morey, and Joan Walters.
Edit? And I just have a couple of things. Last Thursday, we had a ribbon cutting at New England Neurological Associates. Their offices are above the Lowell 5-cent Savings Bank on Fletcher Street. They have an amazing new office up there, right across the street from so many other medical offices. So it's good to have them move to Chelmsford from Lowell, where they had spent almost 3 decades. And also, the Cultural Council wanted to announce that they have received 43 grant requests for Cultural Council grants, totaling over $89,000 total. They have about $20,000 that they can allocate, so they're going to have to make some decisions in their next couple of meetings about who's going to get their awards. So look forward to hearing who's going to get what kind of awards from the Cultural Council.
That's rather extraordinary. I mean, I don't think we've had that in past years.
That is, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Curious.
I guess they did a lot of
Good job of
outreach
marketing.
to-
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
What kind of awards do they typically give out?
It's for arts and,
Yeah, it could be in the hundreds of dollars per
Yeah.
award, depends on what.
right, it's not usually a lot. It's
Yeah.
not usually, thousands of dollars or anything like that. But it's for anything having to do with arts and culture and.
Maybe they'll do a big one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on
Thousands
it.
of dollars.
All right, so
Keep your eyes peeled, folks. The Cultural Council Award.
do we have a
I-
motion?
I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session, not to return to open session for the purpose of strategy with respect to litigation for Ledge Road commercial truck traffic.
Second the motion.
Okay, and roll call vote, George?
Aye.
Erin?
Aye.
Virginia?
Aye.
And I'm an aye, 4-0. We are adjourned to executive session.
Yes. Sure. Gives- yeah.